Your mind is constantly bombarded. Notifications, deadlines, and an endless to-do list pull you in countless directions. But what if there were an ancient technique to silence the chaos, sharpen your focus, and finally start achieving your goals? In this video, I'll show you how to apply the Lotus Method, a practice rooted in Eastern philosophy, to transform your scattered thoughts into a calm, clear, and focused mindset. Ignore this, and distractions may continue to control you. But stay with me, and you'll unlock a path to clarity and success. Part 1. Gohan's struggle with resistance. Gohan is full of potential, just like you. He has big dreams and clear goals. He wants to improve his fitness, excel in his career, and grow personally. But every time he tries to take action, something holds him back. It's not a lack of motivation. He watches inspirational videos, listens to self-improvement podcasts, and reads books on success. Yet when it's time to act, his mind resists. Instead of working on his goals, he finds himself endlessly scrolling through his phone. Whenever he plans to start something important, his brain steers him toward what's easier and more comfortable. He's trapped in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt. The most frustrating part? He knows exactly what's happening but can't seem to break free. This isn't just Gohan's problem, it's universal. The mind instinctively avoids discomfort. Whenever we face a challenge that feels difficult or unfamiliar, the mind seeks refuge in distractions, social media, games, or even daydreaming. Gohan feels like he's fighting against himself. No matter how much motivational content he consumes, the effect never lasts. He's starting to realize that he needs something deeper, something more lasting than temporary bursts of inspiration. Eastern philosophy compares the mind to a restless monkey, constantly leaping from one thought to another, avoiding anything that feels uncomfortable. As Buddha once said, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. This is exactly what's happening to Gohan. His own mind is sabotaging him, pulling him toward temporary comfort instead of long-term success. Ancient monks understood this struggle and developed techniques to tame the mind, bringing it into focus, clarity, and calm. What Gohan is experiencing is simply human nature. The mind instinctively resists challenges, preferring familiarity and safety. But the teachings behind the Lotus Method reveal that this resistance shouldn't be fought with brute force. Instead, the first step is awareness. The mind resists because it tries to protect us from discomfort. But once Gohan understands this, he stops being so hard on himself. This is the first lesson of the Lotus Method. Before you can change your mind, you must first understand it. Now Gohan sees the battle clearly. His mind resists because that's its natural function. But instead of fighting against it, he learns to simply observe it without judgment. Rather than forcing himself to push through resistance, he acknowledges it and begins working with it instead of against it. This is the foundation of the Lotus Method. Before transformation can happen, awareness must come first. But awareness alone isn't enough. Now that Gohan understands his mind, how can he move forward? The next step of the Lotus Method will teach him how to let go of resistance and flow with his thoughts instead of struggling against them. Part 2. Embracing the flow of life. Gohan realizes that his old approach, forcing himself to work harder, pushing through resistance, isn't working. He begins seeking deeper wisdom. That's when he discovers the teachings of Laozi, the ancient Taoist philosopher. Laozi speaks of Wu Wei, the principle of effortless action, moving with life instead of struggling against it. One of Laozi's teachings strikes Gohan deeply. By letting go, it all gets done. At first, this idea confuses him. How can letting go lead to accomplishment? But the more he reflects, the more he understands. Perhaps his struggle exists because he's been fighting against his own nature. What if doing hard things isn't about brute force? What if there's a way to approach challenges that feels natural instead of exhausting? The Lotus Method, rooted in Eastern wisdom, suggests that the solution isn't to fight harder, but to stop fighting altogether. Wu Wei teaches something counterintuitive in today's world, that by aligning with the flow of life instead of resisting it, we actually achieve more with less effort. Gohan begins to see that his constant battle to force himself into action is only making things worse. By embracing this Taoist wisdom, he realizes that difficult tasks don't have to feel like a struggle. Instead of viewing them as enemies, he starts seeing them as part of life's natural flow. He begins applying Wu Wei in his life. Rather than forcing himself to grind through every challenge, he learns to approach them with a sense of ease. When he faces a difficult workout, a demanding project, or a personal struggle, he reminds himself not to resist, but to accept. The more he lets go of the struggle, the lighter his tasks feel. Now, instead of battling himself, he moves through life with a newfound sense of calm. This is the next step of the Lotus Method, releasing resistance and finding harmony in effort. But flowing with life isn't enough. Gohan also needs to learn how to cultivate stillness and reflection to deepen his transformation. Part 3. The power of stillness and reflection. Gohan's journey leads him to Zen Buddhism and the practice of Zazen, seated meditation. At first it seems simple, just sit in silence. But when he tries it, he realizes how restless his mind truly is. He's accustomed to constant movement, believing that doing more is the key to success. But then, he stumbles upon the wisdom of Zen Master Dogen. If you can't find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it? Through stillness, Gohan experiences a profound shift. His once chaotic thoughts begin to settle, like a lake calming after the wind ceases. He starts to see his struggles differently. What once seemed like overwhelming obstacles now feel like opportunities for growth. Practicing stillness daily, Gohan not only calms his mind but sharpens his focus. Just as the lotus flower rises through the mud to bloom, he realizes that his struggles, the very things causing stress, are actually the foundation of his personal growth. But stillness alone isn't enough. Now Gohan must turn his inner clarity into purposeful action. Part 4. Turning reflection into action. As Gohan continues meditating, his scattered thoughts transform into laser-sharp focus. He remembers the Shaolin monks, masters of both meditation and physical discipline. They believe that true mastery comes from uniting mind and body. Gohan realizes that clarity without action leads to stagnation, while action without reflection leads to burnout. The key is balance. Following the Shaolin approach, he begins treating each task with the same precision and patience as a monk practicing a kata. No multitasking, no rushing, just pure, focused effort. He learns that success isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing each thing with full attention. Yet even with focus and discipline, one final lesson remains. Part 5. The Lotus and the Art of Patience. Despite Gohan's progress, he starts feeling impatient, frustrated that results aren't coming fast enough. But then, he remembers the monk's teaching about the lotus flower. It doesn't rush. It grows steadily through the mud before blooming in its own time. Gohan realizes that, like the lotus, true transformation requires patience. Rushing only creates more resistance. By letting go of impatience, he finds peace in his journey. So where are you in this process? Are you still resisting, or are you ready to embrace the Lotus Method? Start with just one step, whether it's practicing stillness, focusing with intention, or learning patience. Your growth will come. Trust the process. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Let's continue this journey of mastering the mind together.